Losing is what got us here. None of us feel good about it. This is, where we are.
Oh, pardon me. There we go. We back. Losers Lounge, the extended edition. Me and Sim, we had to cut the show short, unfortunately. I had to get my daughter. He had some business to take care of. But just so I don't cut you guys short, I figured let me extend it over here on Knicks and Bruises. Peace, Queen.
Oh,
How you doing?
the vibes are immaculate. I'm feeling pretty good.
I feel you. I feel you. Pardon me while I load these slides up.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, man. Still riding that high from game one. Like I was telling you off camera, I haven't really got much sleep yet from all the traveling back and forth, but I'm still running on adrenaline. You know, Knicks got a good win, first game of the playoffs, and yeah, man, let's hear what some of these Cavs fans how they felt about it, and get your commentary on it, and mine in the chat as well. So without further ado, let me see which setup I want to use. There we go. And shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Appreciate you guys for joining. Let me get my mic a little closer too. That should sound a little bit better.
Mhm.
Uh, Kevin and Queen,
Mhm.
welcome to the Losers Lounge.
Yes, yes,
This
yes.
is
My
your
first time.
first time here. So you know, just roll with the flow. We get some insight on
Definitely.
how the Cavs fans are feeling. This is Kevin. He says first time. Every time bench comes in, there's no defense. Who's City's man? I don't see him guarding anyone. Always late and hacking. We talked about City a little bit earlier. Me and Sim, that's the Osmond guy. He was having trouble with Brunson. That's for sure. I know. Anytime he was on Brunson, which was surprisingly a lot, he was sliding all over the place. Trying to deal with Brunson's footwork. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I think what he's able to do, a part of me wants to say he played him the best he can, with his length and with his wingspan, his length. Brunson is not quick, so he had to shoot over him. So maybe I'm just thinking that was their reason for putting him in.
Mindset.
Their mindset, right, for putting him on Brunson. It's not like Brunson is lightning quick, but he's still able to get his shot off over him. And there was that big bucket when he was it on him that he drove and scored that layup at the end of the near the end of the game. Um,
I'm not sure.
I think so. I think CD was waiting for the pick to come,
Yes.
and he just took him right to the left and
Yes.
laid it up off the glass. I didn't think he was terrible though. I just thought Brunson was just good.
I mean, I agree that Brunson was just good, but from a Cavs
Yeah.
fans
They were like,
perspective,
"What are you doing?"
they was all over this Osmond kid. Like, yo, bench him. Why is he playing? Why is he on Brunson? So, I mean, that was kind of the sentiment. And let's not forget, going into the series, all we kept hearing about as Knicks fans was Okoro, Okoro,
Right.
Okoro. You know what I mean? So I think that may be part of it. You know, but yeah, he was scoring on Osmond for sure. Um, this guy is the okay. He says, "Y'all wildin', man. I can't believe how many grown crybabies is in here." Um, so I mean,
But you know
people
what? They might be. I wonder how many is crying over just game one, and how many are crying because they don't feel as confident about the series as they did coming in.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I think
Mhm.
obviously they're crying about the outcome, you know what I mean, and what they thought should have been done differently, done better, whether it's from specific players, the coach, etc. But I think losing game one has to change their mindset for most fans. Um, you know how the series is gonna go, especially if they thought it was short, they thought it was a sweep, whatever the case. You know, once you lose that first one at home, yeah, you're gonna have a different perspective. You lose home court advantage right there, right off the jump. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, no doubt.
Let's see who else we got up in here. Brian, having no bench is killing us. We can't score unless it's Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. I mean, that's one of my keys to us winning this series. Our bench production, I think we outscored them by like 23. You know, that's a significant number. And I believe their starters outscored our starters collectively. So
Mm,
I think our bench is our strong suit, or one of them, and we're gonna need that production, especially, you know, considering you had Randall played well in the first half,
mhm,
kept us in the game while Brunson was, you know, sitting on a bench because of foul trouble. Then Brunson came in, had a great second half.
mhm,
Randall not so much. Hart was consistent all game long, but then that's where the buck stops. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really get average production from RJ. We didn't get quickly's average production, and Grimes had some good moments, but
mhm.
overall, like it wasn't a standout performance. You know what I mean? At least offensively. Defensively, I think Grimes was stellar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think also for the most part, Donovan. Now, I didn't break down every single shot he took, but for the most part, they made him a jump shooter.
Hmm.
And he's dangerous when he gets in the lane, and he did it a few times against us. Don't get me wrong, but I like the way we played the pick and roll, like we didn't switch. Thank goodness, because then you got the big on Donovan Mitchell at the top of the key. Now he's able to get into the key, bang it on you, or get others involved. So I do like the way we played the pick and roll, but he still got loose, a little bit. I think if the Knicks can continue to keep him um, as much as possible as a jump shooter, I think we have a better. That's another key, I think, to winning game two.
Um,
Mm.
um, Canal, he says Mitchell cannot be in the same backcourt with the small guard. He himself is too bad of a defender. Um, that comment right there is the only reason I questioned whether, actually pulling off the trade for him was that right move. Um, and I won't even say. I mean, yeah, like pairing him with Brunson, who, neither one are elite defenders, both are undersized for their position. So that was my only concern with pairing him with Brunson was their lack of size and not being lockdown defenders. Um,
That's
but yeah,
not why they lost game one, though.
no,
And,
not at
and,
all,
and
not
throughout
at
the
all.
series, the season, they still had the number one defense because they constructed the roster in such a way, which is what the Knicks would have needed.
Absolutely.
Um, which is what the Knicks would have um, needed to do. So I don't think that's the issue for them. Um, yeah.
I agree. I agree. Oh, let's see who else we got in here. Rob, he says we have to overplay our starters because our bench is weak. Levert, Levert said we have a great bench, and he laughs. I mean, I agree. Me and Sim talked about it earlier. 40 plus minutes for Mitchell, 40 plus minutes for Garland. I think 37 for Mobley. I think Allen was in the 40s. So that's four of their starters right there, 40 plus minutes. And then I think it dropped to like 17, down
Hmm.
17 for the rest of their guys.
Right.
So I mean, Yeah, they needed to play those minutes to even still be in the game with us. You know what I mean? Like we didn't dominate. It was we had like 8-10 point lead for a large portion. They made their run, but yeah, they needed those minutes with those starters because their bench production is lacking. I agree with Rob. That should be a concern for them.
Yeah, I think it is a concern, but on any given night, anybody can step up, right? We saw Rubio and what he did. We saw so the Knicks got to be on their game. I like the Knicks can't be going into game two like the fans,
Hmm.
because for the fans, the Knicks then already won the series. They don't have anybody. This is going to be a cakewalk. Listen, Tom Thibodeau, Brunson has 25 playoff games. They understand that every game is different, is a different animal. And what worked in game one may not work in game two, right? They're going to make the adjustments. We need to be able to adjust to whatever adjustments they make, So let's see what happens. I feel really confident about the Knicks because I think there's some things the Knicks do or who the Knicks are that I just don't think the Cavs can match. But that being said, listen, their backs are against the wall
Hmm.
because they know you can't go down 0-2 and then go into the Garden for 2 games. That puts a lot of pressure, on your team. So they're going to be super ready in game two. Can the Knicks match that energy? And I believe they can.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and let me do. I do want to highlight Hartenstein's production, which I thought he played a phenomenal game one in the playoffs. Haven't really highlighted him, and the reason I thought of that is because again, our bench we outscored them by 23 as far as the bench, but this is with what 4 points from quickly.
3 or 4. I think it was
You,
3.
you know what I mean? So this is with a very uh lackluster production from arguably the sixth man of the year, and I arguably our best player off the bench. So there's things that we could look at as a bright side, considering our bench played well without quickly performing. You know what I mean? Our bench played well. I mean, Josh Hart had a strong 17 points. You know what I mean? And that's more than his average. So I guess he kind of outplayed his normal production, but that quickly that missing spot in quickly's production, and then Grimes as well. There's things that we could have done that could have really blew that game out the water if all our guys and RJ as well were on their A game. So
Mhm.
let's not forget that little tidbit of information. Um, Queen, if you see anything in the chat and you want to highlight it, by all means, you got the green light.
Mhm.
Um, Nolan, he's tired of Mobley's weak ass. He can't rebound for crap.
He had 11 of them,
And
though.
that's what I was gonna say. Both their bigs had double digit rebounds. You know what I mean? Like
you
maybe
know,
they need more from him. I mean, I think that would be fair considering we out rebound them. Considering, I mean, we had 17 offensive rebounds,
correct.
so
That's what I was
maybe
about to
he
point
just
out.
needed more.
More,
But to
they
say he
needed more.
can't rebound, you know what I mean? Like that's not a guy. It's not like he had 4 or 6 or 8. You know what I mean? He had 11. I think he did do a decent job rebounding the ball, but
There was
being
more to
tired
be
of
had,
his,
though.
huh?
There were more defensive rebounds to be had for them. Like you said, we
Yes,
had 17
yes,
offensive rebounds. So that means there was a lot that didn't happen.
that's a fact. That's a fact. Um, but the weak part, Sim kind of touched on that earlier, thinking, you know, m- they just don't have the physical guys, like the guys capable of being physical. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he meant weak literally or not, like lack of strength, or just for
Hmm.
saying, I'm tired of
Hmm.
his weak play. But
He's probably a few years away in terms of putting on
hmm
the bulk that he needs to put on. He's gonna be good. But for right now, we gotta body him.
Agreed. I mean, right now we got to use that to our advantage. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Knowing that he's not at his peak physical
Mhm.
stature, if you will. But yeah, I agree. Mark, he says there's some glaring deficiencies in this team. I wish he would have highlighted them. You know, just to hear
I'm
what
sure
they
the
think
bench is one
there.
of them. The bench is one of them. Did their rebound? Listen, they're the 25th. They're ranked 25 in defensive rebounds, despite Jared Allen and Mobley. 25th. The Knicks are third, I believe. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know about defensive rebounds. The Knicks might be third overall, but the Knicks are
Overall.
like top five defensive rebound.
And I mean, just when you look at the two teams, we can get rebounding, like you're saying, all across the team. You know what I mean? We got Hart, who's like the best rebounding guard in the league, or one of them. You got Quickly, who's up there in rebounding for a guard. You know what I mean? You got RJ, who's capable of pulling down, anywhere from 6 to 10 on any given game. Obviously, Randall, obviously Mitchell on the offensive end. We need them defensive rebounds, Mitch. Um, but yeah, that's definitely a glaring weakness for them. Anything else? Obviously the bench, the rebounding. Anything else you think is a big deficiency in the Cavs? Maybe
The
something
lack of
that you didn't
physicality.
see during the season that you maybe noticed during the playoffs.
Um, that well, I guess not having a bench is the same thing of just a lack of scoring behind
Mhm.
Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and the lack of physicality.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised that Levert's outcome offensive input hasn't been that great. Now he's capable, so
Hmm.
like you said, don't sleep on him.
Don't
Yeah, like
sleep. That's the worst thing the Knicks can do. Because for them, they could be thinking this is a closeout game. You really want to go into the Garden down 0-2? The Knicks are gonna get everything they have. So I'm not saying the Knicks can't win the game. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the Knicks can't be thinking like we thinking. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? And
agree.
they're not. And they're not.
Number one, Tibbs won't allow it.
No.
All season long, it's been I'm
Mhm,
focused on this game. Not the next game. I got this opponent, not the
mhm.
next one. So I think that mindset should continue, and I don't see it not. What'd you put up there? Dwayne Dennis.
Oh,
The playoffs is a game of adjustments. Look for the Cavs to avenge Saturday's loss. The Knicks must respond in the same teamwork, ten- tenacity, defense, foul shooting, less turnovers, hitting shots. 100.
yeah, no doubt. And it wasn't even, I mean, their turnovers with 13 is about what we average on the season, but they capitalized so much off of our turnovers
Yes.
to the tune of 26
Mm,
points. We definitely have to shore that up.
yes, absolutely. And you look at that. When you look at that, that's 24 points we gave them. You know what I mean? That's 24 points that would not have. I mean, theoretically, would not have came up if we didn't turn the ball over, if we got a shot attempt instead of losing the ball. So yeah. Let's see who else we got in here. Nick says, "I'm tired of losing to the Yankees and the Knicks." I don't know who's the Cleveland baseball team. But
Oh,
is it?
it escapes me right now.
Yeah, me too. But I guess the Yankees must have beat them recently. Yeah, it's New York time, my man Nick. It's New York's time.
Yeah. I've been having a good time listening to the Cleveland podcasters or the Cleveland shows. That's been really good. Just to
It,
see what they're thinking over there.
it's great insight. Great insight. Um, I, that if you get a chance, look at their post games.
Mhm.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, not just the players and the coach, but the commentary, the guys who announced the game. just like
Mhm,
MSG does a post game.
mhm,
They all got
mhm.
a post game, and get some good insight there as well.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh, it's the
Um,
Guardians. It used to be the Indians. Now it's the Guardians.
that's why I didn't know.
I forgot about the Indians as well.
I mean, I did, but I thought they changed it. I thought
Okay.
they changed. I just didn't know to what. Um, I don't know how to say that name.
Okoro. Oh, you're
No,
talking
no,
about Itachi.
the
Itachi. It looks like
Okay,
Itachi.
Itachi. We'll go with Itachi. He goes, what happened to Coro Garden or stopping Brunson? I mean, that's all we heard about coming into the series from Cleveland fans, from you know, NBA commentators, Cleveland's staff as well. I felt like they were really bigging up Okoro and really bigging up Mobley. You know, they were pushing for Mobley Defensive Player of the Year, and you know, kept hearing about Okoro and Brunson. Well, we have Okoro for Brunson.
But listen, I'm pretty sure similar to Grimes, they didn't expect he was gonna shut Brunson down, right? Just like I'm not expecting or wasn't expecting Grimes to shut him down. And Josh Hart, who I think played Donovan Mitchell the most, did a really good job on him, and he still scored 38. So listen, you're not going to stop Brunson. What you're trying to do is make it hard for him, make him work, so that later on in the fourth quarter he's a little tired. Now he only played 9 minutes in the first half due to foul trouble, so that didn't even work. You know,
You know, crazy stat I had heard earlier. You just reminded me because you said Hart played the most minutes on Brunson.
I
I
believe I
mean,
bel on I believe that was the case.
I know he guarded him the most possessions
Hmm.
because I heard earlier that he was 7 for 13 when Hart guarded him,
Oh,
which
I see.
which which by far was his best percentage
Hmm.
other than anyone else guarding him. And this is no knock at Hart
Hmm.
because Mitchell is hard to guard no matter who's
No
guarding
matter
him.
what. Yeah.
But it just struck me as an interesting stat because watching it,
Mhm,
I was championing his defense on Mitchell,
mhm.
not even looking at box score numbers in that frame.
But I mean, that being said, sometimes you could play a guy really well and they just hit the shot. I mean, you
Hmm.
really have to look at the possessions.
Yep, look at the
Because there was
possessions.
sometimes he came off the high pick and roll with hardly any space and pulled up and knocked it down. What are
Yep,
you gonna do?
and that's Hart's MO. No space. Like, you know what I mean? What they say on him like a cheap suit. Um,
Mhm.
what was I gonna ask you? Lost it. I'll bring it. I'll find it. I'll find it in a second. Let me go to another slide. Why? YG's8. He says this team is dysfunctional, and shitty Russ makes it even worse.
Listen, I mean, they're the opposite of the Knicks. The Knicks are jumping off the, jumping out the roof. Listen, I thought it was 6. Now the Knicks gonna blow them out. We're gonna win the next 3. He's saying that they're they lost one game and they're dysfunctional. Wow. Wow.
And I felt like the refs gave y'all the benefits of most calls
I thought so
compared
too.
to
I
us.
thought, yeah.
So it's always funny to get the opposite perspective, you know what I mean? Or we may have been saying this kind of stuff had we lost, or at least hearing it within the chats
Mhm.
and things of that nature. And
Yeah.
here it is, one game, one loss, and they dysfunctional. Just throw
Yeah.
the regular season out the window. You know what I mean? Oh man. Let's see what else we got. Casual. We had a couple from Casual in the show earlier with Sin. He says it was sloppy and they barely won. Cavs in 6. Screenshot it if you want. Well, I screenshotted it, Mr. Casual, and you're right.
Listen,
It was
yeah.
sloppy.
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to say barely won because we led for a large portion. You guys went on a good run at the end of the fourth, and then Josh Hart, put us back in the lead, and we ain't looked back. But I like the confidence. You know what I mean? It's not crybaby like the other fan was talking about. He stayed confident. So salute to you, casual. But it's
And he wasn't
screenshotted.
the
It's
only
on
one.
record.
I
Say that again.
listened to Cavs Burner, I believe
Okay.
his name is, and I actually like his, like his takes. But he said they missed some chippies, and they did. A lot of their shots went in and out. They missed a few layups. They missed free throws, and they still lost by 4. So I get where they're feeling confident. If we just make our layups and our free throws, how many times have we said this about the Knicks
Mm.
after some games, right? If we just make our layups and our free throws, we would have won this game. So I get why they feel pretty confident about it. I just think every game has its own little vibe to it. So you shore that up, it's gonna be something else. We were sloppy too. Yeah, we were sloppy too.
Yes.
Yes,
Sure.
Kevin Berg, Quincy Cavs Burner. Yes.
Yep. I like his show as well. Let's see who else we got in here. All right. Let's move on.
And shout out to Delusional who ran in the chat, who was in the chat earlier.
Oh, was he?
I thought I
Appreciate him.
saw something for Delusional Nick fan.
I've been like half sleep and running on fumes. I forgot to even invite him, but you always welcome, my brother, and appreciate you.
Yeah,
There we
they're
go.
not ready.
Period.
Period.
Nick's too strong.
Nick's too strong.
Salute. Oh, who's this? Sammer. If anything, this game made me more confident we winning in 6. We played even worse. We played the worst I've seen in years and barely lost. In years? So you putting like the LeBron Cavs in that conversation. Like remember Donovan just got here. So this is the worst game you've seen the Cavs play in years. Again, I love the confidence. He ain't crybabying, but I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. The worst they've played in years. I don't think they played. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Because I haven't watched the Cavs other than when they play us, right? What I will say is collectively, they didn't have a lot of help. You know what I mean? Like you had the 2 guards, and then Jarrett Allen had a solid performance. I think if they won that game, he would have been one of the guys that were heralded home.
Hmm.
But they're gonna need production. They're gonna need one of those X factors, right? Somebody to come up and play, have a big performance for them to win.
Well, they're gonna need Garland to play up to his potential. He didn't, right? So he had an all right game. So he needs to play up to his potential. And from what I'm understanding from them, some guys did not play to their potential as well. I like you. I don't really watch them all the time, so I don't know. I know Karis Levert over the past month or so coming in was playing much better.
Hmm.
Historically, he's up and down, but coming into the series, he was playing much better. So I think they thought they were going to get more, out of him. I just feel in the playoffs, the complexion of every game changes. They're going to show up what they need to show up. We're going to show up what we need to show up. I still think it's going to be a close game in game 2. I think it's still going to come down to those clutch minutes and who performs best there.
Yeah, I feel you. T will be real too. Said couldn't capitalize on turnovers, wrong, and
Right.
get key rebounds. Hope
Right.
Okoro's ready for next game. No reason said he should have been guarded Jalen Brunson.
But this is the thing with Okoro, though, in his defense. Even if he's making Brunson work, I mean, in the coach's defense, even if he's making Brunson work, you're getting nothing from him on the offensive end. He
Liability.
can't hit a shot. He's a huge offensive liability. So I don't know. I can't get in the coach's head, but maybe he was thinking, look, CD can't be any worse than what Okoro was doing. He has some length. At least he'll make him shoot over him. If
Mhm.
he drives to the basket, we got our two bigs back there who can help. And offensively, he can knock down a three.
And they need production outside of their main two guys,
Right.
two or three
Correct.
guys. So I
Right.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I mean, as a Knicks fan, I like to see him on on Jalen Brunson. So there's no argument there. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's reasoning behind it. What surprises me more, and it might come up in one of these chats, was Danny Green not
Mhm.
seeing
I
the
heard
playoffs.
somebody mention that too.
Veteran presence and all.
But has he played any games for them?
I don't, not many, but I
Mhm.
think Cavs fans were under that speculation that he was being reserved for the playoffs. He
Got
was,
you.
I mean, like that's what they brought him in for. It
Right.
wasn't like veteran presence mentorship. It was
Right.
defense, knockdown shooting, which you can't argue that they could have used both of that um from anybody. You know what I mean? And
Right.
whomever. Let's see. Ryan says, um, Jared Allen and Mobley were so so darn awful they lost this game. Again, I think Allen gave Allen production and it was good. And had they won the game, I think he would have been one of the guys labeled a hero. Um
Mhm.
he like he didn't do anything like outside of his realm, but
Mhm.
he played his game. He played his game well. He was solid.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mobley, I think he underperformed a little bit offensively. He started off real strong.
I know
I
when
was a
he
little
dunked
nervous.
that ball, I was like, "Oh my god!" I
You
was
know,
like, "Oh, this is not, a sign of things to come,"
yes,
and it wasn't. I
but
think he was 4 for 13 in that game, so he wasn't good offensively.
yeah. So Mobley, I see him up there. Why he's up there? Um, but I think Jaron Allen played a great game, and if he gives y'all more production, that's gonna be scary for us. You know what I mean? Let's see who else we got up in here. Not that Oh, Tommy. He says not that worried. To be honest, there's no way Mobley and Allen played this bad a game. Also, Garland not gonna play like crap for a half. I mean, then this is kind of that sentiment of what you were saying with some of the Cavs podcasts.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, I like the fact that everybody doesn't take that glass half full or half empty approach, and they take the glass half full approach. Um, but like we talked about earlier, the Knicks didn't have a a, a great performance to where it's like, oh, the Knicks the Knicks can't do that again. You know what I mean? They played outside their mind this game.
Which
No,
is that's
we
a very
didn't
good
play
point.
to
Yeah.
our greatest standard at all. We just won. So as much as you guys feel like guys have the ability to play better, so do we. And that's across the board. We had Brunson with 3 fouls, limited in the first half. Dropped
Correct.
20s, what, 21 in the second?
Yeah.
So if we had that same production in the first half, what does that do? If RJ actually showed up and gave some good production, what does that do? If Quickly had more than 3-4 points, what does that do? You know what I mean? Like, so the same argument should and could be made on the other end. So it's not like we just played out of our minds and won by
Right.
two. We
Right.
we fought and struggled just as much as you guys did
Right.
and pulled away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Yeah.
Who else we got here? Jamie. They wanted it more than us. Got to grow up fast because we're here now. I expect us to bounce back game two. Logical fan. Like I try to keep that kind of energy in the loss. You know what I mean? Instead of
Hmm.
just, oh, why is this guy here? And should have traded for that guy and such and such and such. So salute to Jamie, man. Don't get too down on yourselves. You know, don't worry yet. Let's see what happens after we win game two. How you feeling?
Hmm.
I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. Uh, I don't know if I have Luke's previous comment, but, but apparently he wasn't finished. He says, also, screw a Kuro for only showing up around the trade deadline, so we didn't make any moves.
You know what? They were actually trying to get Hart, from what I understood, but they just didn't want to give up what they were asking. And I'm glad the Knicks um, paid the price, which was
Yes,
a first round pick, and it was many and some, and it was many in the Knick fandom, Knick community that thought that was a bit too steep for him. But when you look at what he's doing for us, at least through the first game, in the first game of the playoffs, and what he's done all season, just like that Brunson contract, it might
yeah,
have been cheap, you know?
yes. Kavan says game two is a pivotal game. Yeah, I mean, more so for them than us, but a win means a lot going into the Garden up 2-0, and that's
Well,
actually
that's what I mean by pivot. Like it could
yeah,
turn the series. Like
yes,
I think we're fine if we go into the Garden 1-1. I think as far as the series is concerned, we're fine. But if we go up 0-2, I'm not saying it's impossible for them to win. Wow.
Deep Public Enemy says, "Don't be friendly to these Cavs fans, Tony. They was shitting on the Knicks. They were. But I
Well,
like
Kevin,
the
he's
fact
been
that
pivotal for them, for us too. I mean, not pivotal in the back, but I'm just saying we could take command of the series
yes,
if we're able to get that win.
actually, I agree with that. Pivotal for us, and maybe a game must win for them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, that could that could really swing the series right there.
Hmm.
Um,
For sure.
and then Aya Jarrell says Luke's getting them bars off. I wish I had his previous comment because it sounded like he's like, and also it sounded like he went in earlier, but I think I missed the earlier comment. And to your credit, Queen, earlier in
Mhm.
Losers Lounge on MBK, one of the comments was we should have made that trade for her at the deadline. So yeah, he definitely was on their you know vision board or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's see. Young, he says Rubio Rubio just dribbles the ball around the court and passes, does nothing. When I read this, all I could think of is the commercial with the tall 7-footer. He's like, he passes it, he passes it, he passes
Right,
it,
right, right, right,
he
right.
bounces it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man, I ain't gonna lie. If I was a Cavs fan, I probably would be upset. I mean, Rubio was a pivotal part of that team last year.
Last
You know
year.
what I mean? And what they were able to do, and even when he got hurt, his absence it showed. You know what I mean? Like you could tell that team was a little different in his absence. When he recovered, I don't know if he ever fully recovered or got back to where he was
Hmm.
prior
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
Um, but if I was a Cavs fan, I definitely would have had expectation for Rubio and be disappointed at his production. Again, you talking about a guy who I would have thought he was on that list of all right, we got Rubio that could put some minutes guarding Brunson, obviously a Okoro. Like you didn't even hear that when they were champion or talking about all the things that that all the guys they could put on Brunson. And
Yeah, I
um
don't know about Rubio though.
I mean,
He's
just for
coming
the
off that
length.
broken kneecap. No, it
That
wasn't a
I mean,
kneecap. No, it wasn't a kneecap. Whatever it was, Achilles. I
yeah,
mean, not
yeah.
Achilles. Was it an
Eh,
ACL or I'm not
it
sure. But
was
he's
it was big. It was big. It was
yeah.
either ACL or
Mhm.
I forget the other one that's three letters.
MCL.
MCL or ACL. Yeah, I think it was. Who else we got here? Boban, that's his name. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
He passes it. He passes it. Uh, Alex, he says, real stuff. Josh Hart played really good defense. He was in Donovan Mitchell's face way more than that. Donovan Mitchell just was him. And
That's what I was trying
to
to
your
say.
point, like
He
right,
just
right
him.
on. But I love the fact that he acknowledges the good defense in
Right.
Josh Hart, even though I mean, like you said, sometimes great offense beats great defense.
Yeah.
Salute to Alex, man. Oh yeah, my bad, my bad. No more love to the fans.
We're
It's
gonna get
something
you
about
public enemy number one upset.
it's something about logic. When people are logical in their takes, you know what I mean.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
respect that instead of just jumping out the window. Sometimes and we all do it. Um, who else we got here? Casual be heavy in their chat. Uh, our starters had more points and boards than their starters, but the bench had 23 more points and 17 more rebounds.
I didn't
And
even know that. All
that's what I
right.
was
Okay.
referring to earlier. Like their starters kind of, if you want to say neck and neck, held their own or outplayed ours overall.
Mm-hmm.
That bench, that bench unit is really what solidified that win for us. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I said, Brunson had his good second half, Randall good first half, but Hart and the rest of the bench were, I mean, minus quickly, but were pretty solid throughout
Mm-hmm.
the game.
Yeah.
Anytime they were called upon, they delivered. Hartenstein with that little flip shot or floater, whatever you want to consider it. I'd be nervous when he does that shot a lot of times throughout the year because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't consistent. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes he make it, sometimes he don't. But last game he was hitting them. He had a couple of little drop off passes and
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't touch the rim or nothing. So when it drops like that, I like it. When it's a floater or a flip shot and it's going off the backboard or bouncing off the rim, I get a little bit nervous about the how efficient he'll be with it. But yeah, I'll bet they get the game ball for sure.
Yeah, Josh Hart definitely is questionable for tomorrow. They'll know tomorrow morning with the ankle whether or not he'll be able to go.
Mm, that's gonna be big time.
Yeah.
Quick question:
Mhm.
if Hart has to sit a game, um, do you see Deuce as the next guy up because of the defensive aspect, or do you think we look for you think someone else gets the nod or becomes like an 8 man with spread out minutes?
That's a very, very good question. That's a very good question.
I think it's Deuce
Mhm.
because if you're trying to have guys pick up the slack, if you will, right? I feel like as bad as quickly played, he's liable to pick up the slack offensively and give you Hart's production plus Quickly's production of last game. You know what I mean? So like Quickly could drop 24 or 23, you know what I mean? And kind of combine the offensive production that we got from Hart alone. The the question is the defense, we're gonna need that. You know what I mean? Somebody to be in Donovan Mitchell's face, make or miss. So I think that's where we could see Deuce. Um, because who else is there? I don't really see. I guess Fournier would be that next guy up
Mhm.
after Deuce from what we've seen in the sparing minutes throughout the year.
I think we
So
go 8,
you go 8, right? You
and I would just
so
play
no Deuce
Grimes. I would and play Grimes and IQ on Donovan
more.
Mitchell. Um, that's a tough call. Um, um, yeah, that's a that's a tough call. Yeah.
Here we go. Let me. This is a response directly to us. But Deuce has earned his chance, and so I will cover my eyes and listen.
I mean,
uh,
listen, I'm not. I still think it's a tough call. In the regular season, Deuce was getting like 7, 8 minutes, even when down the stretch when Randall wasn't even in the game and there was more minutes to be had, he was getting like 7. I mean, like maybe 15, 16 minutes. We'll see. I think it could go. It could go either way.
no doubt. Sim, welcome back.
Going on.
This the extension from earlier. I think I got a couple more left that you could
And
jump
you
in
also got to
on.
worry about Deuce being a offensive liability,
Liability
similar
as well.
to Okoro.
That's a great point, Queen. That's a great. Um, Sim, you could jump right in there. If Hart is out, um, do you see it becoming an 8-man rotation, or do you see Deuce being utilized at all, um, defensively, or someone else, Fournier, whomever?
I think if Hart is out, he will utilize Deuce. I do because of the defense. You know, even though he can't go down as far as defending fours. Our biggest concern is Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, right? So I think he probably would use Deuce to defend those two guys. And then it also might go depend on what's needed in that game. If the Knicks really need offense or something like that, then he might go with Evan Fournier. I think his first option would probably be Deuce.
All right. And then to Queen said, any concern as far as the offensive liability with Deuce, in the same sense as Okoro, kind of being their great defender but offensive liability.
I mean, I think there's some concern, but I think the Knicks have more weapons too.
That's a
Right.
great
So
point too.
while you're looking at just having Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and sometimes Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen is kind of like Mitch in the way that he gets his points. And then sometimes Evan Mobley, uh, Okoro really his liability on offense really exposes itself. I think where with the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett sometimes can get his own. You have Emmanuel quickly. Normally, Grimes is knocking down shots. I think you can have Deuce out there with a lineup that can still get buckets. You know what I mean? So it may not show itself as much as when you got Isaac Okoro out there on the floor and he's missing, he's missing open corner threes that they probably need, even though he doesn't attempt a lot.
Right.
No doubt. No doubt. Kai says Mobley, Allen, and Levert were terrible. I mean, we talked about it already a little bit. I don't think Allen was terrible. Um, I wouldn't even label Mobley as terrible. Maybe bad. Maybe underwhelming. You know what I mean? But not terrible. Levert was kind of missing in action, so I agree. And
Yeah,
they're gonna need Levert's production if they're gonna compete with our second unit.
right. I don't think Mobley was. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think Allen was bad at all. Really, didn't he have a
Mm-mm.
double double?
Yes. Yep. I think 11 and 13.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something that we would have championed had it come from Mitch, right?
Right. Right. And Levert, I don't think Levert has played well, scored a lot of points against the Knicks this season. So
But he was playing well coming into the series,
how
so they
many
expected a bit more out of him.
right. Yeah, that's the thing about the Cavs, man. They don't have they're thin. They don't have a lot of depth at all. They're really thin.
Right.
Is it because of the Donovan Mitchell trade that they're really thin?
I don't think so, because you figure Mitchell came in and replaced
Marketing.
Sexton. Sexton's, I mean, like, as far as position, and then like, you wouldn't have had all three of them, right? So you had to, you figured he had to go. You said marketing
They had Sexton and marketing.
and
Yeah.
marketing. Marketing wasn't doing for the Cavs what he did this year for the Jazz.
That's true.
So that, you know what I mean,
He
like,
played last year.
and
But this could have been his breakout season, though.
true,
You
I mean,
know?
but the question would be, would his breakout season minus Mitchell and then maybe Sexton's performance, would that have been more depth? I guess that would have
Yeah,
maybe been more depth for
Yeah,
them.
because you're talking about two 20-point plus, two 20 plus point scorers.
Hmm.
You know, I think that definitely would have given it more, because instead of having Isaac Okoro out there, you might have had Laurie Markkinen, and it would have been that much longer. As far as the
Yeah, because I didn't think about that. They champion Mobley as able to guard 5 positions. So does you can still have marketing at the 4, move Mobley to the 3, at least as a defensive assignment, and offensively, I don't think you got to worry too much about the 3 of them on the floor, because marketing's able to stretch. You know what I mean? Mobley could play a little bit outside the paint as well. So
yeah.
that's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if Cavs fans would take it back.
No, no,
I don't think
no.
so, because while they might not be able to, if they might not have the depth now,
They can
they're gonna
add.
be able to add some depth. You know what I mean? And then you still got Donovan Mitchell. And for
Yeah.
all that said and done, the Utah Jazz didn't make the playoffs. Even though they started off really good, they didn't make the playoffs.
I mean, I think you got to take that with a grain of salt too. Like, I mean, it could be two things. It could be they just fizzled off. Hot start, and then kind of simmered down as the season went on. But there's also that speculation that they was better off. They see how good they are, but we're better off utilizing this draft capital and draft stock and things of that nature.
Right.
So I'm just saying, I don't know if they intentionally tanked, or it was like, all right, we got an inkling of how good we can be. Let's go ahead and get this draft asset to add to that, and see where we are moving forward. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's see what else we got. Jay, we should have lost by 10 plus. Team has fight, but has to clean that up, shooting, and focus on getting defensive rebounds.
I mean, they can focus all they want. They're not a good defensive rebounding team. Now, are they? Can you step it up? I mean, I guess you can, but against one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, that's a tall task.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, I don't. I mean, honestly, I just don't. As long as the Knicks continue to play physical and rebound physically by putting a body on somebody, I just don't know if they can match it. I really don't. You know, and I think they're trying. They're trying to be physical. I seen a clip, basketball breakdown, uh, showed a clip of Jared Allen It was either Allen or Mobley when Julius Randle got that offensive rebound, and he was already in position to get the rebound, already in position, but trying to be physical and put a body on somebody. Hartenstein was coming along the baseline, and he left his rebound in position to go try to box out Hartenstein, and then Julius Randle comes into that spot and grabs the rebound. You know what I'm saying? Because that focus, they're having this focus, so much focus on putting a body on somebody, hitting the Knicks, because I think that's going throughout the locker room. The players are like, oh, we got to be more physical, boom, boom, boom. I mean, that in that particular play, I feel like it took them out of position, to get the rebound. And so I think as long as the Knicks continue to be physical that way, I don't think they'll be able to rebound with the Knicks. The Knicks they've won the rebounding battle this entire series, including the regular season. I don't see it changing.
Right.
That's a good point. I mean, I listened to the Donovan press after the game, and that's basically what he talked about. He talked about how difficult it is, and it's easier said than being done. But
Right.
in the same breath, he's saying it's really about limiting. So they had 17. Let's take 3 of those away. You know what I mean? Let's take 2 of those away. And then he also talked about when you do it. So the crucial moments. You know what I mean? Like they, you know what I mean? They had 17, but 4 or 5 of them were big plays, big moments in the game. And then as well, he talked about, and I recall it, them coming up with 3 possessions in one, you know what I mean? One setting. So, and I don't think we scored in that one, but we got 3 offensive rebounds in one possession. You know what I mean? So I think those little things are kind of like, you're right. It's not going to be able, maybe they don't win it, but they got to try, they got to try to limit it. And when you look at game film, I guess that's when you start seeing like, all right, this little play, if I would have did this thing a little bit better, you know what I mean? Like, it's always like a little thing that they feel like they could clean up.
Yeah.
I hope you're right though, son. I hope you're right. And they just incapable. You know what I mean?
I don't think they have enough rebounders. They got Evan Mobley and they have Jared Allen. Right? When you look at the Knicks, Mitch, Randall, Hartenstein, and then Hart.
Quickly.
Right? RJ's a good rebounder. Quickly's a good rebounder. You know what I mean? So we got it from the bigs and the guard positions.
Right.
And I remember that play you're talking about when the Knicks got all those offensive rebounds because Grimes missed 2 3-pointers and they quickly missed 1. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know. It's probably like 2 or 3 more. Let's see. Aiden, he says we should have traded for Hart. He was the piece we need off the bench. And there you go, Queen. We was just talking about that. And Queen said they didn't want to pay the asking price.
Or maybe they couldn't. I mean, they probably didn't because they gave up as much in the Mitchell trade. So they couldn't give up. Or just reluctant to give up another draft pick, next year's draft pick or whatever for Hart,
But like Queen said earlier, there was a lot of us that questioned the asking price or the cost for Hart as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People not now.
They talking about the same thing with Brunson. It was a steal.
They saying he underpaid. How about that? They saying he underpaid. I've seen that from a couple of different outlets that are professional. I'm like, okay. But yeah. They could have traded for Hart. Oh, I guess that is my last one. And yeah, they could have traded for Hart and oh, my bad. Sorry guys. Got you. There we go. We could have traded for Hart. I think they had Hartenstein on their roster. I was reading. I guess for like 30 seconds, and they moved him.
For real? When was this?
Before he got to the Clippers. I don't know if it might have been like draft, like right out. Yeah. He didn't get drafted by the Clippers. He got traded to the Clippers.
Okay.
And I mean to the Cavs.
Right.
and then traded to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Right.
The Knicks this series in the regular season out rebounded the Cavs. The Knicks averaged 47 rebounds and the Cavs averaged 39
Right.
for the season.
Yeah, that's big.
Significant. Yeah.
I mean, that's it for the losers lounge segment. I got just a couple of quick comments and statements or questions, and we could get out of here and have a nice little break before Queens Court.
Mhm.
Let's start with if we get this win tomorrow, and what it would mean, to be up 2-0 going into the Garden. I mean, to me that's so significant. They you look at the percentages of who wins game one, and I think it's like 75% of the time they win the series after winning game one. That number has to increase after winning the first two, I would think, right? So
I don't know what it is, but I would believe so.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to contain my excitement. You know what I mean? Oh, like I'm afraid I might get ahead of myself if we go up 2-0. I'm like, like
Like
we
we're
already.
doing already.
I mean, yeah, but we already heard people talk about broom shopping and things of that nature. So I'm trying to curb it, but going up 2-0, what would it mean? And how would you feel? What would it mean and how would you feel?
I mean, I feel great, right? Obviously, I think everybody would feel great. Honestly, though, I would feel like that the Cavs can't come back. That's how I would feel if the Knicks went up 2-0. I already feel just looking at the two teams play, I feel like the Knicks just have more pieces than them. And so it's already tough for the Cavs to win 4 games out of this series. That's how I feel right now. And so for the Knicks
Mhm.
to go up 2-0, I'm just Donovan Mitchell would have to drop 45 a game or something, which may not be out of the realm of possibility.
I was just gonna say that, like that, like he could do that. He could do that for 4 games in a row. He could do that. Oh man, Queen, what's your thoughts? We Knicks win tomorrow.
Yeah, the Knicks. If the Knicks win tomorrow, I would be like the rest of the Knicks fans, like super confident that we're gonna win the series. So I might jump out the window too. If the Knicks win, if the Knicks win tomorrow. Um, particularly because they're gonna engage this game as a closeout game for them, right? Because they know you go down 0-2 and then you got to go into the Garden for two. We're gonna get everything they have tomorrow, and if we still win, series over.
Yeah, right. Right.
Series over.
I mean, I feel like they're gonna come out. They're gonna try to come out physical to prove
Mhm.
that they can play with that kind of physicality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Knicks have to withstand that first blow,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
right? Withstand the first blow. I think after that, I think they'll be okay.
Right.
My wonder is, are they going to try to come out and be so aggressive that it backfires on them? When it
That's
really takes them
that,
out of how they play.
Takes them out of their game.
that's exactly what I was gonna ask you. That's like I don't even gotta ask it because that's exactly I was. That's exactly what you answered. I don't have to say the question because that would have been your answer. I could tell.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it could work into our advantage because they're trying to play outside of themselves as opposed to just playing their normal game. And to Sim's point, it's already been on. Like if you look at the post games, if you look at the media availability interviews, Garland talked about it, Mitchell talked about it, JB talked about it. So like that's gonna be the number one difference in how they come out the gate.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this. The Knicks should be ready for that. Any concern What would be a concern as far as the Knicks side of it? Because I don't think we got to worry about us matching the physicality, because I think that's our game regardless, right? We've heard it throughout the league. After games, people talk about how physical this team is.
Mhm.
Spose talked about it. Um, um, Numerous coaches. You know what I mean? So that's our MO. Um, let's say they're successful in being more physical. Does that concern you on outside, or is it like nah? Because that's our game anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't concern me because I think that's just how we play anyway. That's just who we
Right.
are. That's been who we are the entire season. You know what? The only thing that would concern me is that some of the guys get maybe over emotional because when a team tries to be physical, it's like most of the time, if someone else is trying to be physical, most of the time they do it the wrong way, right? Because you're not like a person who's naturally physical, they naturally bump you. It doesn't look like they're being physical.
Hmm.
They're not swinging wild. They're doing crazy stuff. They naturally bump you. They're naturally, their body parts just hit you and things like that. And it's not that they're even trying to do it. It's just how they are. It's in their
Hmm.
DNA. When someone is when someone else, it's not in their DNA is trying to be physical, they end up doing things that maybe aren't even basketball related.
Mhm.
You know what
Agreed.
I'm saying?
Take that
And
risk of a flagrant. A hard
Right.
foul becomes a flagrant
Right.
foul. You
Right.
know what I mean,
right.
and things of that nature.
And so then if they start doing some things like that, how much, do Knicks players start to get frustrated, right? Because they figure the Cavs are doing things that aren't basketball related.
Right.
And how much does the refereeing play a part in it? Like if the refereeing is equal, you know what I mean? So whatever we're allowed to get away with, they're allowed to get away with, and vice versa. I think all's fair, right? But if it's one sided, and you say, because I've heard this from commenters, uh, they'll credit how physical a team is playing, and say, well, that's why the refs are letting them get away with the things. You know what I mean? So how much do you think that the refs will dictate how much the physicality affects the game?
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean, go ahead, Sim.
I think I don't know. I think this game would be what determines this game. Like if they came out and tried to be really, really physical, things got kind of out of hand. Then you see the next game where they would say,
Tight
"All
whistles.
right, we need to tighten this up." You know what I mean? So I don't think you see it right away.
Yeah. Listen, the officials, if you look at all of the playoff games, it's been kind of letting them play. They've been kind of letting them play. And like to Sim's point, it's just another day in the office for us as far as physicality is concerned. So I think if the officials started to call it tight, is that what you're asking?
More so, not call it tight, and the reason I say
Oh,
that
see, that's to
is
our
because
advantage.
I agree, but if we look at how do I want to put this? The Randall outbursts, you know what I mean? Those type of situations, it's usually because of physicality on the other team and lack of a whistle. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what I was leaning towards, or kind of asking, like, do you think that is concerning? I
Randall,
guess I guess more than the team as a whole.
you know what? Listen, the last game, I think Randall understands. The last game he put his hands up when I thought Donovan Mitchell was just out of pocket. Like that was not even necessary.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And when he put his hands up, that led me to believe that he did the work that he needed to do beforehand. That if stuff like he might have been going through visualization exercises, like if things like that happen, I just gotta walk away no matter what.
They not taking me out my
They're not
my
taking me
zone.
out of my game. I'm super focused right now on the next step. So I'm not really worried about I wasn't really that worried. Like if where was me coming into the season worrying about Randall was like at the bottom rung of the totem pole. Like I just wasn't worried about him, but him throwing his hands up made me feel super confident. Like,
Confident.
yeah, he's good. I just don't think we have those type of players that's gonna lose it. I just think we know it's a big game if we can get it, but I think we also know that if we don't get it, we still good in this series.
Agree. My last question. And you go in depth as much as you want, or you can keep it short if you want. RJIQ Grimes, who steps up first moving forward?
IQ, because I think he got the furthest to go. From game one. So I think it's gonna be IQ. I mean, how bad was he missed 3 shots? He only took 4 shots.
Yeah, that's true. That's
He
true.
missed 3 of them.
That's
He
true.
hit 2 clutch free throws, down the stretch. Was he awful? I don't know if I would say he was awful. And I watched the game again, Sherwin. And then I'm gonna watch it one more time after this before Queen's Court. RJ wasn't terrible. I just think that it was uneven. Like in the first half, his floor
Great first
game was,
half.
it was
Great
on
first
point. Yeah, the 2 passes to Randall on the break, the pass to Obi, like his floor game was just really clicking. I thought his defense on Garland was good, was solid.
And on
But
Mitchell.
And on Mitchell was solid. I just think in that fourth quarter, he just made that turnover, but another time it wasn't even a turnover, but I guess we were able to recover it, whatever it was. He just didn't look his sharpest down the stretch. So, it was an uneven game for him. So I would say quick, because look, even defensively, Rubio got right to the front of the rim on quickly. He missed it though, but he got right to the front of the rim. That's not quick. And then somebody else, I don't know if it was Okoro or Levert, might have been Okoro, drove and laid it up. Like, that's not quick. He would have offered more resistance than that. So I'm going to say quickly.
I'm saying quickly too, but I didn't even think of the perspective as he has the furthest to go as far as up in his game. I'll just say he has the ability to be the biggest, like he had 4 points last game. He might have 30 next game, and it wouldn't even like surprise anybody just because he's that good.
But the thing for him, whatever he gets, he has to get in the flow of the game. Like
offense,
he can't be coming in trying to redeem himself from the first game. You know what I mean? Every game has a different vibe, a different complexion. Just got to figure out, what is this game asking of you? You can't be in your head about what you didn't do in game one. And I'm not saying he's prone to it, but he can do that. I wouldn't be surprised, So his head has to be on straight.
Do you think Quickly has to read? Do you think his role is different in the playoffs and he has to figure that out?
I don't know if his role is
I mean, because I feel like the opportunities are going to be less. So now, I mean, not just him, but for everybody other than our main 2 guys, you know what I mean? Efficiency is probably at its peak of importance because you're not going to have the volume of the regular season. You know what I mean? You're not going to have the looks and the attempts, unless it's that particular night and that's how it's going for you. But I think overall, Grimes' shot attempts are going to be a little bit lower. Quickly's is going to be a little bit lower. You know what I mean? But maybe that's just the cream rising as well.
But listen, the Knicks shot 42% and still won. So I think it's if he's not shooting well, it's the other things. You cannot turn the ball over 3 times in the
Right.
first quarter or whatever it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just got to play within yourself, read the game, don't get ahead of you, and understand that, in the regular season, Brunson and Randall is at the top of the scouting report. They're gonna say, listen, don't let Obi leak out. Well, quickly does you understand? But they game planning for every one of them, so they know what he likes to do. So it's gonna be a little different. He has to read the game
Mm.
and not just rotely do what he would usually do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I hope that he doesn't come in and force it. Right. So I don't think he will. I think he probably understands the situation, but he's just got to take what comes to him and let it happen naturally. And, once he has a decent game, then I think the confidence will
Right.
come. Like,
Right.
okay, I did this in the playoffs. Now I'm comfortable. I
Mhm.
mean, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be all right.
And is he your guy out of the RJ, the Quickly, the Grimes? Who you think Quickly is the first one to step up and kind of have a peak performance?
Actually, I think it could be Grimes
Mm.
because there's going to be a lot of attention on Jalen Brunson, a lot of attention on Julius Randle. So he's going to get a lot of open shots and open looks. You know what I mean? So he starts already. So he could be the first one that, in the
Spearheads it.
first quarter, knocks down
Mhm.
2 threes and goes off the dribble and scores something for 8 points. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, I'm feeling good now. I feel comfortable.
And to your point, he probably has to create for himself the least.
Right.
So
Right.
so those like you're saying, those shots are gonna be coming off of penetration from others
Mhm.
where he just gotta finish, quickly kind of has to make the space, create the space, then create the shot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if it's a little bit more responsibility on Quickly and RJ than Grimes, so it may be an easier
Right.
path
Yeah.
for
Right.
Grimes.
Yeah.
And it's not just about offense. It's the other things the other things as well.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? The turnovers, rebounds. Do you think that Tom Thibodeau continues the minutes distribution the way he did?
Ooh, I can I rephrase that question? Do you think the minutes? Do you think the rotation played out the way it did because of Randall's injury? Because I ain't gonna lie, that rotation was pivotal part of us winning that game. Taking Randall out early, which surprised me, but then running Randall with that second unit, which we hadn't seen much. You know what I mean? It was usually Brunson, it was usually RJ running with that second unit. I think that's where Randall actually got to go off a little bit. Is when he got to run with that second unit. So I don't
Even
know.
in Brunson with the second unit too.
Yeah,
at
both of them.
times.
Both of them was in them in game one of the playoffs, but we hadn't really seen that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I don't know if he does it because I don't know if that was based off of just trying to give Randall a early breather, or if that was him changing like his game plan, his normal philosophy. But I do think it threw the Cavs off. You know what I mean? Because I think if you're scouting and you're preparing for a team, you look at those tendencies, you look at those habits. So you may be looking at at this minute mark, this is our opportunity to kind of go on a run or go this, and then that opportunity doesn't come because Tibbs switched it up.
Right.
I can't answer if he'll continue it because my question is, was it based off Randall's
I
injury?
mean, I
But
feel
oh,
like
mhm.
in the beginning, I feel like it was based off Randall's injury, because he needed a breather. You know what I mean? So Obi came back in. You can visibly see him on the bench. So I feel like maybe that was it. He did it in the second half, though, around the same exact time. I don't know if Randall was tired or not, but he did it in the second half around the same time. And then, of course, in the fourth quarter, Randall at least played most of those minutes in the fourth quarter over
He did.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Randall
he
played
did.
he played all 12 in the fourth
Right.
quarter. So maybe that's part of his philosophy. We're gonna, we're gonna throughout the
Keep it
game, we're gonna
balanced.
stagger it a little bit different, and then we're gonna play him 12 minutes in the fourth.
Right. To answer your original question, Sim, I think it depends on the flow of the game, because I think with Randall's minutes, I think it was about giving him a blow, and he talked about that in the press conference. But there were some other things that he did where I think he was just reading the game. You
Mm,
know,
Mhm.
Quickly only got 4 minutes in that second half. That's not usually the case with
great
Quick.
point.
Right,
He didn't close either. That's not usually what happens with Quick.
right,
RJ got more minutes in the fourth quarter than he usually gets. So I think he's just reading the game, and that's
Mm,
what I hope continues.
mm,
You know, Quick don't have it. We had to play him because Brunson was in foul trouble. He gonna have to sit a little bit. RJ seems like he's doing a good job on Garland. All right, he's turning the ball over or doing some things and not so well, but he's a net positive. We're gonna let him rock out. Just kind of reading the game and just figuring out rotation wise, what does the team need right now? Who's rocking right now? Who's not? Who needs a break? Who do they have on the floor? What's the best matchup? And I think because of all of the injuries and Randall going down, they've been cross matching a lot
right,
for out of necessity.
right.
mm.
And
And
it's
so
not
now you just get us, they just got to the point where whoever's out there, we know what we know what we need to
What we
do.
can
We've
do.
been playing like this all season,
yeah.
basically,
And,
particularly down the stretch.
that's I think Tom Thibodeau talked about it being a silver lining, like you said, down the stretch of the season, because now you figure out lineups that you can use because you're
Mhm.
forced
Right.
to. You figure out lineups you can use. So now it's like, okay, well, we need this, we need that. I'm gonna put this lineup in and that lineup in because I know they can give it to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Was this Tibbs' best coaching game as a Knick?
Oh, well,
It's got to be up there.
yeah. I mean, listen, it's easier to be a better coach when you have better players because you just have better options and you got more things you could
Right.
do.
Exactly.
All right.
So,
And
yes.
this is my absolute last question, and you could give it to Coach if you want. Who gets the game ball from game one?
I'm giving it to Josh Hart.
Me too.
That three was
It's
big.
unanimous.
That three was
Yeah.
big.
Big,
Yeah,
huge.
that was the play of the game by far. Down one, hit the three, put us back up two. We ain't looked back.
And it wasn't even a catch and shoot three. He created. It was off the dribble.
Right. He created that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
well, I thought we would have some different takes, but it's unanimous.
I
Josh
mean,
Hart
there's other people I
gets
couldn't
the game
argue
ball.
with if you said it, but for me, it's
Yeah,
it's
no,
hard.
I feel you. I mean, I was considering Tibbs getting the game ball because I think this might have been his best coaching performance.
Mhm.
I mean, not just from my own personal perspective, just listening to Nick podcasts, the past couple of days, and
Mhm.
I've heard coaching masterclass at least 10 times from different people. And you've never heard that, what I mean, from the Knicks chat, what I mean?
Right.
It's always been pretty negative or pretty much restricted on or how much props they want to give Tibbs. Even in the win, people find things they complain about with Tibbs, whether it's minutes, rotation, this, that, and I really heard none of it. I've heard people actually commending Tibbs on the subtle, slight changes that we've seen from him in this particular game.
But this is the thing, though. So game 2, God forbid we lose, and Randall was better in terms of his stamina was better and whatever, and now he gets 38 minutes. That's why we lost.
Right.
Because Tibbs didn't stick to the 33 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And 30, that's the funny thing. 33 and led the team. You know what I mean? Like that's something different from Coach right there. 33 minutes, and that's the leading minutes in the team. Like he really spread it out. You know what I mean? He really used guys to their potential and to their strengths and things. So I love it, man. Let's see if we can get game 2. I'll be even happier tomorrow after work. I'm gonna catch the what time's the game? 7?
7:30.
Yeah,
All right, so I'll miss the first quarter. I'll be listening to it through AirPods, but I mean I'll be home for the second half and the post game and the losers lounge and all that good stuff. Shout out to the chat. I appreciate you, Sim, for jumping in. Queen, always appreciate you. I'm glad you got to experience a little bit of the losers lounge. You know what I mean? I know it'd be late after the games, but one of them you gotta get one after the game too.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be tough because that means a post game and a losers lounge for you. That's maybe we'll get one in a 1 o'clock game or something. Not
yeah,
but
yeah.
always a pleasure.
And at Legends, they said we can go ahead and do a watch party on Friday. So, I think we'll go ahead and do that. The game is at 8:30 on Friday.
that's what's up. I was listening to the Knicks. What's their official name? I call them the Knicks Morning Brew.
Morning Brew.
The Morning Brew. The Morning Brew. And they said, "Is anybody doing a watch party?" I said, "We might be doing." I said, "MBK might be doing one at Legends. I'll keep you posted." So now I can let them know.
Oh man, see,
Yeah,
this is
So
y'all gonna make me quit my job, start Ubering full time just so I got the availability. I'm gonna miss this.
You just gotta call out.
If I call out, I gotta call out Saturday too because I'm gonna be back Sunday. But
That's true.
and let me stop saying this on air. So
Right.
For somebody listening.
But if I missed the watch along, I just want to tell the chat, man. Anybody who can make it, it's well worth it. It don't cost you nothing. You know what I mean? Unless you're trying to buy your food, something to eat, something to drink. But the atmosphere, phenomenal. You know what I mean? You get to meet people that you've seen on the chats and in the chats. You know what I mean? On the screen and in the comments, and it's just a vibe. I really do wish I could make it again. I'm glad I made this last one. But yeah, if you can make it out there, man, make it out there and share the experience because it's only getting better and better as we go.
Yeah,
and I'm loving it.
No doubt.
Shout out to Josh in the chat. Appreciate you, Josh. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Yo, Black is time. I'm let me just switch this over real quick. Actually, Sim, if you could do that for me. Just
switch what over?
And
the
actually, never mind. I'm gonna just end it just like this because my screen is bugging out. I can't get to the.
I just let people know that registration is gonna come out tonight. So that way I can give them a head count. So we'll get that registration out for the watch party. They can get a head count and
know how much staff they need, extra bartender or whatever if we need it.
I mean, we want to do the same like we did last time. We had a full house. We want to have it overflowing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody can't make the game, so I mean,
have it so big. We gotta start one upstairs too. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's overflowing. We need 2 rooms
for real.
But, yeah, man. Looking forward to tomorrow night. Queen's Court. What time? 8:30. 8:30 tonight. We got Queen's Court. Sim, you doing anything? You doing a pregame? Well, probably not. If you, I mean, if you're doing a
pregame tomorrow.
So pregame, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Post game. All right, we out of here, man. Appreciate the chat. Shout out to you guys. Yo, Black is time. We out.
All right.